So hello everyone, thank you for waiting for us. We will begin shortly and then have some questions. So Foreign Minister of Ukraine, Dmytro Kuleba,
yes.
The floor is yours.
Good afternoon all. It was an important opportunity for me, allies and other partner countries of NATO to get together today in Brussels for the ministerial to discuss what else could be done to support Ukraine's defensive war against Russia, and also to discuss the global implications of the Russian aggression against Ukraine. I came here with a simple message. My agenda for the discussion had only 3 items. It's weapons, weapons, and weapons. To win the war, first and foremost, you need weapons. The point is very simple. Euro-Atlantic security is indivisible. And fighting against Russian planes, tanks, and personnel in Ukraine, we are defending not only ourselves, but also the security of NATO members, of the allies. And the deal, a fair deal that Ukraine is proposing is simple. You provide us with everything that we need, and we will fight for our security, but also for your security, so that President Putin will have no chance to test Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty. I was pleased to hear today a growing understanding about allies of the fact that Ukraine is fighting not only for itself but also for them, and a growing understanding of the countries who belong to eastern flank of NATO that support to Ukraine should be stepped up. And it's natural because we are neighboring eastern flank countries directly. I am cautiously optimistic about the outcomes of our discussions. And I'm looking for the allies heard us. I was very specific in the requests and the timeline that these requests should be accommodated. So I will be looking forward to the follow-up from allies to everything that was said and discussed today. Thank you.
So let's start with NBC, you want it? Okay, then Ukrinform, Dmytro Shkurko.
Dmytro Shkurko, National News Agency of Ukraine. General Secretary Stoltenberg said that Russia needs like 2 weeks for regrouping its forces before the next major offensive operation. So that my question is if Ukraine have enough time to recover before that offensive and to prepare properly. And the second question is quite a diplomatic one. As we saw in Bucha and other Ukrainian cities which were occupied, we have now this absolutely Nazi behavior. And officials in Moscow just confirmed that we have dealing with the state Nazi policies in Russia. My question is, what is in principle possible to discuss with them in a negotiation process? Thank you.
By the way, I was told that Ukrainian interpretation is available, so Ukrainian journalists can ask me questions in Ukrainian. I promise to interpreters that they will have some work to do. First, yes, Russia withdrew from Kyiv and the vicinity of Kyiv, not because, as it was stated by Putin's spokesperson Peskov, they wanted to create constructive atmosphere for negotiations, but because they were pushed back by Ukrainian army and because they required additional resources for a large-scale offensive in Donbas. So we do observe redeployment of Russia's units from north of Ukraine and northeast of Ukraine to eastern Ukraine. And actually, as we speak, the battle for Donbas is underway. It has not reached its maximum scale, but every day the heaviest fighting takes place in that part of Ukraine. And more is to come, unfortunately. The battle for Donbas will remind you, and I regret to say it, but this is true, the battle for Donbas will remind you of Second World War, with large operations, maneuvers, involvement of thousands of tanks, armored vehicles, planes, artillery. This will not be a local operation based on what we see in Russia's preparations to it. Russia has its plan, we have ours, and the battlefield will decide, and the outcome of this battle will be decided on the battlefield. And this is why it is so urgent for allies not to, how to put it mildly, not to tell us that they are still thinking, that they have to do all the procedures, that there are many issues which have to be sorted out before they make decisions. Either you help us now, and I'm speaking about days, not weeks, or your help will come too late. And many people will die, many civilians will lose their homes, many villages will be destroyed, exactly because this help came too late. Speaking about negotiations, I said it already, unfortunately, to my deepest regret, Bucha massacre is just the tip of the iceberg. We already see from reports from Mariupol that Mariupol is much, much worse on all accounts. And you ask the right question, how does it feel talking to the Russians after all this happened? There are 2 points which I want to make. First, I have only one question to the Russians. Who are they? Where do they come from that they have no compassion or empathy, neither to children whom they rape, nor to women and girls who are raped and killed, nor to civilians, to old people, even to animals and pets? They kill pets. I don't really, after Bucha, I don't understand who are they, who are these people? And while asking myself this question, I also understand that to prevent more Buchas, we have to talk. We have to talk and see how we can end this war. However, and I will be very honest with you, it is clear that the positions of delegations in talks will be defined by the successes of relevant armies on the battleground and the impact of sanctions imposed on Russia. These are the 2 main criteria which make either our or their position stronger in talks. And of course, we are entirely focused on making sure that we will be stronger and we will eventually prevail.
Next one, Associated Press.
Hello, thank you for your question. Mark Carlson from Associated Press. Have you received any promises of new military equipment today?
Weapons are like money. They love silence. And I will not be in a position to go into details. But let me put it this way. I have no doubts that Ukraine will have weapons necessary to fight. The question is the timeline. The discussion is not about the list of weapons. The discussion is about the timeline. When do we get them? And this is crucial, as I explained earlier, because 1 month, 2 weeks ago, it was enough to say what will be given. Today, it's more important to know when it will be given. And this is something that allies have to sort out and to find appropriate solutions.
Okay, gentlemen. Yeah.
The microphone. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Foreign Minister. Nick Beak from the BBC. You say that in terms of weapons, it's when, not if. What is holding things up? Is it a lack of will, or is it the logistical problems that the NATO allies are facing? And also, President Zelensky has talked about the recent sanctions that the UK and the US have been saying will make a big difference. He says that they're spectacular, but they're not enough. Did you get a sense that some of the NATO allies were maybe holding back on weapons because they want sanctions to do the hard work first of all?
The answer to the second question is no. I think these are two parallel tracks where we see different progress with different allies. Some are more advanced on sanctions while being more reluctant on providing us with weapons. Others, to the contrary, are willing to provide with weapons but are more conservative when it comes to sanctions. The point that President makes is very simple. We appreciate everything that has been done on the sanctions front so far. And yes, it's true that the latest round of sanctions inflicts serious damage on Russia. We are looking forward to the adoption of the fifth sanctions package by the European Union. And if it is adopted as it stands, then we can say that the pressure has been stepped up. But as long as the West, let's put it this way, continues buying Russian gas and oil, it is supporting Ukraine with one hand, while supporting Russia war machine with another hand. And this is the point the President is making. The damage that is being inflicted on Russia by sanctions now has mid and long-term implications for Russian economy. But people are dying today. The offensive is unfolding today. And we need steps which will stop Russia's war machine today. This is, as long as it is not, as this hasn't been done, we cannot speak about full efficiency of sanctions. Yes, damage is inflicted, but it's insufficient to stop Russia's war machine. And this is the point. And the first question was on weapons.
Why the delay? Is it logistics or?
A month, in the first week of the war, I asked one foreign minister whether his country would be willing to provide us with a certain state-of-the-art weapon. And he said, Dmytro, it's complicated because it requires at least 2 months of training for personnel. So we are not going to do that. If he had agreed with me in the very beginning to provide Ukraine with that weapon, our people would have already completed, we're about to complete this training, and we would have had it in the week or two. So this is the problem with partners. I mean, I appreciated them, I love them, they're all friends, most of them are personal friends, but this is the problem, that you always have to break one wall after another. The first wall was, we are not going to send you weapons. Okay, we broke it. No one is saying that anymore, almost. The next wall was, we will send you light weapons, but not heavy weapons. Okay, we broke it. We broke this wall as well. Now I've been hearing until recently, we will be sending you defensive weapons, but we cannot send you offensive weapons. Okay, we explained that it doesn't make any difference when it comes to Ukraine because we are defending ourselves. Every weapon is defensive by definition. Okay, we seem to have broken this wall as well. And now we are in this, again, in this situation, when? When will you send this? It takes time, but we have no time. If they had heard us before, we would not have had this discussion. We wouldn't have this discussion now. So it's all. I don't know. It's a little bit of all. So reluctance, unreadiness to act on time, acting only after tragedies like Bucha occur. I said to, and I can openly say it here, I said to partners from G7 and the European Union in the last days that I know what the initial package of sanctions was. And I know that it was stepped up, that when we were asking you to step it up, you ignored us. In fact, there could have been some backslides. And only after seeing the pictures of Bucha, you agreed with us that sanctions have to be stepped up and that what had been prepared was insufficient. But how many Buchas have to take place for you to impose the sanctions? How many children, women, men have to die, innocent lives have to be lost for you to understand that you cannot allow sanctions fatigue, as we cannot allow fighting fatigue? So we're in the process, but I'm satisfied with the overall dynamics of how our partners evolve. But unfortunately, the price of that is pretty high.
Let's go to this side.
Mr. Minister, Nick Schifrin from PBS NewsHour, thank you. One of the main topics in the diplomatic talks with Russia has been security guarantees, of course, that you have been asking for. Did you repeat that request today? Have you gotten any progress on asking any NATO member or getting any NATO member to agree to a security guarantee? And you say you're cautiously optimistic about individual countries' arms shipments. Do you think NATO itself, as an alliance, should be taking a greater role in those arms shipments?
You're absolutely right. I'm cautiously optimistic about shipments from some allies, but I have no optimism about seeing NATO as a whole supplying Ukraine with necessary weapons in the foreseeable future. I don't know, it may change, but this doesn't seem to be the case now. So what is happening now is that NATO as an institution encourages allies, those allies who are willing to help. That's it. That's how it works now. And NATO serves as a platform where everyone comes together and discusses these things. No, I did not raise the issue of security guarantees in the meeting because we know exactly the list of allies whom we see as potential security guarantors, and we negotiate it at a bilateral level. But in my bilateral meetings here, we are raising and discussing this issue with them. Yes, they definitely get a better understanding of what we are looking for, and but we're still they're still in a receptive mode. We're still discussing. None of them has provided us with their vision for security guarantees at this point.
We have time just for two last short questions, and the first one, the lady there. No, the behind. Yeah. No. Yes. Just raise your hand. Yes.
Sorry, Lily Bayer from Politico. Thank you, Minister. A video posted to social media appears to show Ukrainian troops shooting a captured Russian soldier. I was wondering if you've seen the video and if you have a reaction. Thank you.
I haven't seen it. I heard about it. I want to reassure you that Ukrainian army observes the rules of warfare. There was, of course, there might be isolated incidents of the violation of these rules, and they will be definitely investigated. But I wanted to double-check the date of this video, because you should understand one thing. No, you will not understand it. I'm sorry, but you don't understand how it feels after seeing pictures from Bucha, talking to people who escaped, knowing that the person you know was raped 4 days in a row. And when she finally made it to Kyiv, she was directly taken to the psychiatrist. You don't understand how it feels that Russian soldiers rape children. This is not an excuse to those who violate the rules of warfare. on either side of the front line. But there are some things which you simply can't understand. I'm sorry.
Let's take one last one. Ukrainian media. Є українською питання? Давайте від вас.
Okay,
Можна українською?
I will be speaking in Ukrainian, so take your
Just one
earphones
last
on.
UATV Віталій Сизов. Ваш турецький колега, ви з ним також мали зустріч, наскільки я розумію. В нього був оптимізм, він казав, що він все ж таки сподівається, що буде ваша зустріч з Лавровим, і вони над цим працюють. Чи є якісь приводи для його оптимізму, і чи є якісь підстави для вашої чергової зустрічі з Лавровим?
З того, що я чую від міністра Лаврова публічно, я ніякого оптимізму не отримую. По-моєму, кожен коментар, який він робить, спрямований на зрив переговорів, на їх блокування, а не на продовження переговорів. Але менше з тим, я вже один раз з ним зустрічався, якраз в Анталії. У мене немає щодо нього якихось особливих почуттів, які б мені завадили з ним зустрітися знову, якщо це потрібно для припинення війни в Україні. Міністр Лавров є частиною системи президента Путіна. Те, що він виправдовує бомбардування лікарні в Маріуполі і злочини, вчинені в Бучі та воєнні злочини, вчинені в Бучі та інших містах і селах України, і називає їх фейком, робить його співучасником цих злочинів. Але я готовий зустрічатися, тому що він офіційна особа, і якщо це питання миру в Україні і припинення смертей, то я готовий зустрічатися будь з ким.
Thank you. So, at this we conclude. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.